Welcome to the second part of our interview with Elena Boskov Kovacs. Elena served as chairwoman of the ETIP SNET Digitalization and Consumer Participation Working Group, part of the European Commission's platform Shaping Innovation and Policy for Smart Networks in the Energy Transition. She is an energy transition strategist with extensive experience in digitalization and European energy policy. In this part, we will discuss key enablers of flexibility and practical recommendations for system operators and regulators. Elena, welcome back.
Well, nice to have you.
Okay, we have opportunity to taste wine Ivana produced in winery Serbica. And now we can, in this relaxed atmosphere, continue with our questions.
Beautiful. We have one more lady in our company.
Yes, of course. Okay. How critical are smart metering, advanced data management, and cybersecurity for reliable flexibility mechanisms? And where do you see the biggest risk today?
Well, they certainly are very important components. I would say smart metering, the ambition behind it was aiming to solve the fact that there is lack of observability, visibility in the depth of the network, access to the grid edge, and many other issues which were complex even before proliferation of renewables at the distribution and low voltage level. But particularly now, due to the voltage grid instability that is caused by a massive push of, on one side, renewables, and on the other side, electrification of transport in our grids, not only in Europe, but worldwide. So components such as smart meters are incredibly important, and all the other IoT devices, because I would say even now, with the ever-changing regulation and trying to, let's say, push new market directives that are going to make the grids more democratic, meaning enable participation of consumers, prosumers in the grid. The DSOs are still facing the issue of being able to forecast what is going to happen. Because the rules are not the same for everybody. I would say there are regulated entities such as DSOs and TSOs, which are operating under very strict rules, and they're mandated to keep the quality of electricity supply. On the other hand, participants in the marketplace, which are prosumers, are very socially protected, and they don't often provide information that sometimes they should. So even with energy communities or individual producers that have rooftop solar, it's impossible to predict whether they need the grid or they can operate autonomously. So this is something that is technically still being solved. So smart meters, access to data is very important. Another topic that you have mentioned is cybersecurity. So what digitalization of networks brought on one side is digital, democratic, and dispersed access to this electricity marketplace, and expanded the vectors actually beyond just electricity into the heat, into the power segment. Unfortunately, it also increased the attack vector. When we talk about cybersecurity, simply for the, on one side, lack of standardization and ability to keep up with cybersecurity threats, but essentially everything moved into the digital plane. We have physical assets, physical systems, and then we have digital twin of all of it. And that also opened up vulnerabilities of the system for a more mass-wide attacks.
Yes, okay. We mentioned in the first part that the implementation of smart metering and distribution management system is challenged with the situation that utility have dilemma how to use all of that data and what to do with them and how to use to the better control of the system. And now we discussed that decentralization, or you say democracy of system, and involving consumers and other subjects in the network make cybersecurity challenge for utility. In centralized system, it was one situation to make security, but now when there are a lot of spots in the network who are engaged, we have an evolution of cybersecurity on zero trust. Technology is some answer on that, but it is challenge, it is a risk for utility.
It's definitely not like we see it in the movies, and I know you have covered this topic in your previous seasons. Definitely not that somebody can, let's say, use your TV to hack into the entire electricity grid, but there are vulnerabilities in the system simply because evolution of cyber threats is accelerating so rapidly that even the vendor of specialized industrial solutions are struggling to keep up with the pace. And I would say budgets required to train, audit, run exercises are going often beyond capabilities and budgets of DSOs.
Yeah. Okay, you mentioned the previous season about cybersecurity. We have the question if we see any situation till now that someone hacked the system.
Well, no, but I mean, in my company, actually, we do have a cybersecurity department, and we do have some clients, and for them, we run very interesting cybersecurity exercises, meaning that we simulate a cyber attack, for example. Sometimes it's like blow up of a supply substation, but sometimes it's a cyber physical attack, and it's really a great exercise if the company has time and money to do it, where you have actually the entire war room with the CEO, heads of department, and maintenance staff running an exercise in almost real time in terms of how it would look like if that happened. So this is not part of explicitly of NIS2, but I would recommend it to everybody, especially to the TSOs, for example, if they have the capability to do it. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, on the simulation level, it is nice.
Yes.
But in real, it will be very difficult. But okay, the answer was that we didn't heard that any utility have that problem. But the question
because
is...
part of the exercise is the PR management as well.
It is the point. Is that happened or we didn't hear?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we can proceed with our next question. If you were advising a DCO or a regulator in Europe today, what would be the first realistic and high impact step forward implementing market-based flexibility?
This is a really great question because I do have the privilege to advise, and I'm involved in actually 2 ongoing projects, one for TSO, one for DSO actively right now. In terms of how we, let's say, go beyond these research level flexibility projects and how they can actually mitigate this in terms of what they can do and what they cannot do. Often my colleagues from the DSO world say that they are running a race with other participants with one leg in a cast and 2 hands tied. Because there are challenges in terms of access to end consumer data, for example, by deregulated market rules. But I would say that on one side, we have the possibility now, and you're probably aware that there is a mandate and ongoing initiative to assess flexibility needs in the network. That is started all across Europe. Targets are in some countries to finish those assessment needs at the level of entire supplied area by mid next year. So identifying where the flexibility could, let's say, capitalize on the low-hanging fruit, meaning where flexibility can really solve these issues, or where implementing some forecasting, planning solutions could really improve situation in the grid is one part of the puzzle. Second part, I think I have to revert to the conversation we had in the previous segment, and this is building a real roadmap. While most companies have gone on this digitalization journey, a lot of the systems are not yet fully integrated, and a lot of the databases are not yet fully populated. So building a roadmap, how and when to implement different solutions, central or decentralized, DERMs or maybe some individual ones, is really more important than just buying everything at once, because you can often buy a system and not have data or sensors to feed it. So real clear digitalization roadmap and roadmap to implement flexibility solutions when and what is something I would advise everybody before asking for a loan or applying for funding.
Yeah. So you think that optimize existing software applications and data
to prepare for the jump.
Can be good key without money to increase the level.
I think we're past the point where we're not applying for money because the assets in the grid, I would say the regular assets in distribution grid, cable, overhead lines, transformers, switchgear, monitoring equipment, a lot of it is at the end of life. So continuous investment needs to be made. Reinforcement in the grid definitely needs to be made, but nobody has the budget to replace everything. So in order to prepare for that, you are going to run typically flexibility needs and flexibility assessment and hotspots in the network, and then strategically be able to say when and what should be invested, and run systems that integrate all of this and provide help with decision making.
Yes, but it means that in today's complicated world, it is very important for utility to have people internally or externally who have the full picture of all of these systems and who is able to integrate and use data, data and all system on the proper way.
Not just that, but keep dialogue. In the past, it was possible that the dispatchers and in the control center do their job and never meet the people from IT department unless something is wrong. And they typically don't always interact with people with other departments. Now it is necessary to create some new roles as well with people who have oversight and can help the CEO and head of the board make real strategic decisions about the company, because they actually know and have clear insight into what's going on.
Okay. Maybe we can also mention the example of African countries because it is something starting from the scratch in many countries. So do you have any special recommendation for them, how to start, how to proceed?
Yes. I mean, obviously, I work predominantly in Europe. I have worked in the past in countries like Oman. I have worked all across Turkey and had some limited exposure into what was started in Africa. So definitely, they have an opportunity to not be bothered with too many legacy systems that all of a sudden they need to pour from one system to another or integrate with. But in terms of procuring, they definitely need to have a very good awareness of who their grid serves now and what is going to be expansion and challenges in the future, how the grid is going to evolve so they can actually structure their piloting and investments and rollout of these investments so that they are working according to the market rules, but at the same time, they're able to roll it out with, let's say, not too many technical challenges. Grids in Africa are very different across very different geographical zones with very different approach to maintenance. And I can tell you, it's not just African issue. We have cheap labor maybe in Eastern Europe with expensive equipment, while the cost of labor and maintenance staff in Northern Europe is very high. So it justifies investment into some automation equipment. So business case, developing a business case is very important when you take into consideration what your reality is, and you cannot copy paste from Europe or US. Don't do that.
Yeah. You must make any benchmark.
Yes.
And okay, also the very important issue in African countries are financing of the projects.
Yes.
It is different for the Europe, especially for the Western Europe.
Yes.
Okay, and our last question for the interview: what is the most important lesson you learned throughout your career?
Throughout my career, oh my God, there are so many. I can maybe answer what would be the most important lesson that I have learned working recently in digitalization and flexibility projects, because I would say others go beyond this and could be probably a third chapter of this interview. But I would say that in my experience, working and advising either regulators, policymakers, or system operators and utilities, one thing that is often forgotten in this race to digitalize and buy new systems and solutions is ability of the organization to accept the change. And I would say in the power industry, unless we are talking commodity traders, most of the power companies are very inert. They have staff that is used to doing things a certain way. So every new system is change. Change management is incredibly important, and it depends on organization and processes. So when we come to advise a company, and we can always, the easier part of the job almost is designing technically how the system should look like to serve the needs and the business case. Another thing is sometimes the need to change organization, or to, for the first time, sit everybody at the same table and start a discussion about how these new systems will change the way we do things. They do things in the organization, and adjusting this and having the sponsorship and engagement from the CEO, which in the past may have, together with just the CFO, made the decision about the amount of money that they need to apply for. But right now, they actually need to give more sponsorship and the blessing for the project to be done from beginning until end. So more involvement, more engagement, and definitely do not forget the reorganization part and having dedicated roles.
Yeah. But okay, in your career, on the beginning, you was on the side of vendor.
I was on all sides.
Yes, very active in implementation.
Yes.
But now you are on consulting side in consulting. So I believe that this challenge follow you in all your career.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I have started actually as a researcher first, and then I was working on the vendor side. I was selling some of these solutions. I transitioned into working on the utility side. I also worked on the system operator side. Then I went into consulting. I also worked as a system integrator. So the whole evolution, I can wear multiple hats. I think it's very important to have this kind of experience, because often the discussion and many decisions and improvement of the systems and the situation in the company depends on being able to understand each other. And sometimes even the terminology that is used by dispatchers, they use the one type of word that the IT department misunderstands because they use that word for something else. So while we're speaking the same language and the same words, often those are completely different systems that behave completely differently. So I think being able to go through all of these roles, it's important to have somebody sometimes not biased, sitting on the side, being able to interpret in the same language, the same words to people who understand it differently. I think that is definitely a big part of the success.
But do you think that now when you are consultant, that when you have more interaction with utilities, that it is easier to change?
To change things? I mean, I would love it if that depended on me. I can definitely help, but it is, I would say, a change of that is related to which people implement it. And in Europe, we have a massive initiative that is associated with skills. And you know, Europe is investing a lot in digital skills and generally improving the skills of people that participate in the industry. It's almost impossible to catch up even at the university level education with how energy systems have evolved in the past 2 decades. So definitely this is big part of it. And the change not necessarily happens with younger people coming into place, but different way of using systems, different way of knowing things. We are evolving from one super knowledgeable person into many people who know fragments of the systems, but need to be able to talk to each other and accept the change.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for this advice, especially for the younger people, but also for everyone. Okay. Thank you for joining us, Elena.
It's a pleasure, always.
And to sharing your valuable insights. And your perspective on flexibility and the evolving role of energy system is highly relevant for shaping a more resilient and sustainable energy future. And it is aim of Smart Talks with Jovan to share these stories and help to all actors in the market to change and go in the direction of energy transition. This concludes our interview. Stay tuned for more episodes as we continue exploring digital transformation and the future of energy system across the Europe and worldwide.
Thank you.